to begin, Half 8, Quarter 4, Prevention of Substance Use and Abuse, particularly T3 drugs. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to, first, define T3 drugs. Second, identify the different T3 drugs. Third, explain drug addiction. Fourth, give reasons why people turn to drugs. And fifth, realize the need to recognize and address teen drug problems. Let us begin this lesson with a pre-test. You will be given 5 seconds to answer each question. Write it on your notebook so you can check whether you get all or not the correct answers. Are you ready? For question number 1, it is a term used to refer to substances whose use is thought to lead to the use and abuse of more dangerous drugs and possibly the development of an addiction. A. Drug abuse. B. Gateway drugs. C. Narcotic drugs. D. Psychedelic drugs. Your 5 seconds starts now. If your answer is B, you got it right. Second question. It refers to the dried leaves, flowers, stems, and seeds from the cannabis sativa or cannabis indica plant. A. Alcohol. B. Marijuana. C. Nicotine. D. Prescription drugs. And the answer is marijuana. Third question. What entices humans to mess around with drugs and risk getting addicted? A. People are motivated by pleasure, how the human brain processes pleasurable sensation. B. Using some substances early in development does result in a greater probability that the individual may turn into another form of drug. C. Drugs can vary and people can have different opinions about what qualifies as a gateway drug. And D. Drugs are sometimes taken in larger amounts or in ways that change the way the drug works in the body and brain. And the correct answer is A. People are motivated by pleasure, how the human brain processes pleasurable sensation. Fourth question. Factors that should be taken into account when doctors and dentists prescribe medicine. A. Form and dose. B. Personal information. C. Side effects. D. All of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. For the fifth question, it is a widely used stimulant and potent parasympathomimetic alkaloid that is naturally produced in the nitrate family of plants. A. Alcohol. B. Marijuana. C. Nicotine. D. Prescription drugs. And the answer is nicotine. Did you get all the correct answers? If you did, you're doing a good job. Before we proceed to the lesson proper, let us have a short review or recap of the third quarter's lesson. Kindly enumerate the following. Write your answer on your activity notebook. First, in order to keep ourselves healthy and free from communicable diseases, here are some of the healthy habits to follow. Here are some of the possible answers. Eat balanced diet, have enough sleep and rest, drink plenty of water. Also, doing exercise daily and drinking vitamin C could help us strengthen our immunity. Second, To prevent further the spread of COVID-19 disease, we should not do the following. Given here are some of the possible answers. Going to crowded areas and not wearing mask or face shield. Also, going out of the house when you feel like it and not covering mouth and nose when sneezing and coughing, most especially in this time of pandemic. In order for us to keep ourselves free from this COVID, we should strictly observe these prevention guidelines. We are now about to start the lesson proper. What is gateway drugs? It is a term used to refer to substances whose use is thought to lead to the use and abuse of more dangerous drugs and possibly the development of an addiction. Gateway drugs open doors for a non-drug user to try and experiment on more dangerous and illegal drugs. Also, gateway drugs are typically thought to be less harmful drugs, but the dangers of these lie in the possibility that users will begin to seek out harder drugs such as cocaine. So live with the principle, be smart, do not start. Common gateway drug examples are cigarettes and alcohol. We may also include marijuana, prescription pain pills, and nicotine. Cigarettes and alcohol are readily available and generally accepted in our society. Many people use them for various purposes. Teenagers like you are especially vulnerable because you are more curious and risk takers. So again, be smart, do not start. What is this cigarette? Cigarette is a small cylinder of finely cut tobacco leaves rolled in thin paper for smoking. Cigarette can easily buy at the convenience store, while nicotine is a widely used stimulant and potent parasympathomimetic alkaloid that is naturally produced in the nightshade family of plants. It is used for smoking cessation to relieve withdrawal symptoms. Nicotine can be found in tobacco and tobacco byproducts. Let's now define alcohol. Alcohol is a colorless, bitter-tasting substance that humans have consuming since the ancient times. It comes from plants that underwent fermentation. What is fermentation? When we say fermentation, it is the process of extracting alcohol from a plant or a fruit. Beer is extracted from grains. This is what we call fermentation. Alcohol sometimes referred to by the chemical name ethanol. It is a psychoactive drug that is the active ingredient in drinks such as beer, wine, and distilled spirits. There are three types of alcohol: isopropyl, methanol, and ethanol. Isopropyl and methanol are used in laboratories and are poisonous and fatal if taken, while what we drink is a kind or also called beverage alcohol. So what are the common effects of drinking alcohol? First, our mood lifts and we feel euphoria. Decreased anxiety, increased sociability. Sedation, impairment of cognitive, memory, motor, and sensory function, and generalized depression of central nervous system function. Let us now define marijuana. Marijuana refers to the dried leaves, flowers, stems, and seeds from the cannabis sativa or cannabis indica plant. It affects someone's attention span and memory. Its use is widely among young people. It is the most commonly used psychotropic drug. The substance that is most often accused of being a gateway drug is marijuana. So again, let me remind you, be smart, do not start. Another example of the gateway drug is the misuse of prescription pills or drugs. These are often strong medications, which is why they require a prescription from a doctor or dentist. Prescription drug misuse has become a large public health problem because misuse can lead to addiction and even overdose deaths. When prescription drugs are misused, they can be just as dangerous as drugs that are made illegally. There are three kinds of prescription drugs that are commonly misused. First is the opioids, used to relieve pain such as Vicodin, OxyContin, and codeine. Next is depressants, used to relieve anxiety or help a person sleep such as Valium or Xanax. Third is stimulants, used for treating attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD such as Adderall and Ritalin. Prescription drugs are drugs given by doctors and dentists for various reasons. Current use and dosage are indicated in a prescription. However, there are people who tend to use these drugs in the wrong way. These are called misuse. How prescription drugs are misused? Here are some: taking someone else's prescription medication, taking a prescription medication in a way other than prescribed for, taking your own prescription in a way that it is not meant to be taken, taking the prescription medication to get high, and mixing it with alcohol or certain other drugs. What lures people to meddle with drugs and risk getting addicted? People are motivated by pleasure. When people do something that makes them feel good, their brain releases dopamine. What is dopamine? Dopamine is a type of neurotransmitter. Your body makes it, and your nervous system uses it to send messages between nerve cells. That's why it's sometimes called a chemical messenger. Teens and drug abuse. Early prevention is key when it comes to drug abuse. Thankfully, there are many programs in place that help to educate teenagers about the dangers of drug abuse. Most teen preventative tactics surround the school setting. Students often learn about the dangers of drug use and how to steer clear of peer pressure. Sum up. Supply the missing words or phrases needed. Write it on your notebook. People are motivated by, while what brings about pleasure can differ from one person to another. Sports, sex, music, art, nature, etc. Many start out using a drug that they believe to be harmless, but often this bad habit can build into a much more troubling concern that starts with use of gateway drugs. Gateway drugs are typically thought to be less harmful drugs, but the dangers of lie in the possibility that users will begin to seek out harder drugs such as cocaine or heroin. Revaluing, complete the open-ended sentence. I believe that, I found out that, I realized that. It is now time for the post-test. Please do this multiple choice, choose the correct answer, and write it on your activity notebook. Number 1. Next, are you done? After viewing and listening to this video lesson, do not forget to do these exercises as your home schoolwork for today. Worksheet number 1 and 2, help eat Mommy Pork Quaker. Congrats! Thank you. See you next class.